I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is Burn Noticed, a podcast about Burn Noticed, which is a podcast about Burn Notice, a show about characters.
It's not that difficult. Please keep up.
That was complicated.
Yeah, it might be. Do you want me to do it again?
No, that's fine. I'll just leave this bit in.
No!
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to my podcast.
It's our podcast, thank you. Today we're going to be talking about episode 8 of Burn Noticed, which is about episode 8 of Burn Noticed, Wanted Man.
Yeah, the only reason why I always know this and Joe doesn't is because I make the title cards. Would you like to hear my understanding of the plot of that episode?
Nah, let's skip it.
But I wrote it all down and everything.
This is your interpretation of the plot of the Burn Notice episode Wanted Man, which you've not seen.
Which I've not seen.
This is your interpretation of it from what you have gathered from the Burn Noticed podcast
Notice podcast episode. Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so Fee tricks Mr. Burn Notice into helping with the cow, which we've already established. I will say cow to refer to the case of the week. They need to catch...
How does she trick him?
Because she says they're going on like a beach date, and then they go on the beach date, and it's like, just kidding, we're working a case, because I'm a bounty hunter, and I need to catch this guy. And he's like, aw, I thought I was gonna go to the beach. So they have to catch this guy, because Fee's a bounty hunter now. He's been accused of stealing some super fancy brooch. Fee catches him. Oh, also there's a rival bounty hunter, but as far as I can tell, he is not important to the plot at all. I have that written down. They catch him, and he's like, but I'm innocent. And then they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just prove that you're innocent then. And that's the case, is them proving that he's innocent. They mostly do this, it seems, his name is Tom. Actually, they call him Thomas, but I have him written down as Tom. They mostly do this, it seems, so that Fee can use Tom to make Mr. Burn Notice jealous. Because they frick-fracked, and he's not talking about it.
Or as Chris Cherry said, the horizontal bing bang.
Yeah. They're so weird. Why are they so weird? Can they just be in a relationship, by the way?
Yeah, I know. It annoys me too. Okay. Well, the thing is he doesn't want to be.
But he does.
Yeah, but he's like...
But he's pretending like he doesn't want to. Why is he being so flippant?
I don't know. He hasn't, I don't think he's ever fully said yet. It's dumb just to keep tension.
Okay. It's a dynamic I've never understood. Anyway, what else happens? They know because of reasons that the hotel owner actually stole the very fancy brooch. And so Mr. Burn Notice is going to pretend to be interested in buying it so they can, catch him having the brooch, I guess.
This isn't important, but the hotel owner, I know is the asshole from the Replacements film with Keanu Reeves. He's one of the football players that, is going on strike, but he's a dick. And he's a dick in this, too. They
also pretend, or they make it seem like someone's going to steal the brooch, so that they'll move it to a less secure location. Which they do, but only after Mr. Burn Notice almost gets killed because he assumes that he's the one who was trying to steal it. I don't actually know how that was resolved. I think a snow globe was involved.
The snow globe thing was involved with a bounty hunter.
Oh, okay.
The bounty hunter, was in, Fee's place trying to get Tom.
Oh. I do know that one of her snow globes was broken. One of Fee's snow globes was broken because I think that's, an adorable character choice. Yeah. That she collects snow globes. He almost kills him, but he doesn't. And he does, in fact, end up moving the brooch to a bank. They make it look like the hotel owner's robbing the bank so that the police arrest him, and Tom's been cleared. And then just to fuck with the guy who I said wasn't important, they let him, arrest Tom. They're like, you can have this bounty. And then he calls it in, and they're like, yeah, no, he's innocent. He's been cleared. I don't know what you're doing. Just to fuck with him.
Yeah, he literally, they don't say this in the podcast. I mean, they say that he's got zip ties.
Yeah.
But they're both of his wrists are zip tied separately, and he goes, bah! Look, I'm free. And it's dumb.
That is the case of the week. In the B plot, it's basically more about his burn notice. So Fee contacts some bad guys that have info on who burned him. He trades some kind of info, but it's fine. He's a patriot still. And then he sends the person who burned him a fruit basket? I don't know if I fully understood that. Is that what happened?
I don't remember.
Okay. He sends him a fruit basket, and, the guy calls him, what, you sent me this fruit basket? And he's like, yeah, and it's only gonna get worse from here. Next time it'll be an edible arrangement.
So apparently...
It's such a weird threat.
Yeah, and apparently, from what Bri and Chris said, I mean, it's voiceover only, and I don't super remember this scene, so...
Okay.
In the actual episode, but they say it's clearly Richard Schiff. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And they were like saying he's Toby Ziegler from The West Wing, which I know you don't know.
Yes.
But you know him
As...
from Dirk Gently. Dirk Gently's
Oh, he's one of the cops.
Yeah, the one that looks like, sad,
yeah,
but funny. I figured you would be excited about that.
So, yeah, he sends him a fruit basket and then is, like, threatening about it. And the guy's like, okay, don't send me any more fruit baskets. That would be the worst. That's pretty much it. I just also included that Michael bought Fee a new snow globe because I thought that was cute. And that's it. That's the plot.
I don't remember the fruit basket. I thought maybe Bone Notice got a fruit basket. Like, I don't know, man.
You watched it!
I know. It doesn't, stick in my brain. Also, I watched it, a week ago.
Why did you watch it a week ago?
Because that was the only chance I had to watch it. I don't know.
You're supposed to be ranking my understanding of the episode. You're supposed to be, the verification thing.
I would say you're ranking...
Whatever you're about to say, I don't give a shit.
No, listen, I listened to their podcast.
Right. You watched the episode, too. You just don't remember it.
I honestly zoned out during both the episode a little bit and their podcast a little bit.
You can't be
I've
trusted.
been super busy. But listen, I would say they gave probably a B+ on recounting the plot.
Okay.
And you actually gave an A- on...
What did I get points off for?
You were confused. And they may have explained it, but I feel like since you were confused... Because, I don't know what happens in the middle either. But yeah, you were confused about the fact that it was the bounty hunter. It wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the bounty hunter.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Fair enough. That was because I just wasn't paying attention enough.
You put a lot of pressure on me to rank two different things, but yeah.
I just figured, because you said you were going to watch them, which I think is insane, by the way. Are you enjoying it so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not the greatest show ever, but there's stuff I like about it. And, they like this episode a lot, and this episode is pretty good.
I have a thing that I feel bad about that I want to talk about.
What's that?
So, the thing that they keep saying in this episode is that it's a really good episode for Fee. As far as I can tell, and, again, this is, an artifact of, the weird way in which I am choosing to consume this show.
Right.
In which I'm not seeing it at all. I think I hate Fee. And they talk about how fun she is in this episode and how enjoyable she is to watch and but just hearing them
describe what she's doing.
Yeah, I'm she sounds awful. I feel like it'd be the same thing as if you just described to someone the character in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and you're yeah, she's a great character and I really identify with her. They'd be why? If you just described her actions.
Well, I'm gonna say something too. I also don't super care for Fee.
That's what I was kind of wanted to get at, as somebody who has watched it.
She's got some problematic aspects to her, I think. I get, liking her because she's, feisty and, badass and does everything with, this cockiness. But also, she does a lot of things that are, kind of sketchy.
Where you're that's just a straight-up manipulative behavior.
Yeah, she almost blows up a guy in, a few episodes back.
I mean, granted, this character is introduced as a terrorist or something, right? She's not.
She's not a terrorist,
but a bad
she's got,
guy.
Yeah, but
she's introduced with a sketchy past, so we're not oh, this character is problematic.
She doesn't take no for an answer from Bone Notice, which is a little
okay. And that's
creepy.
The other thing. That was the other thing that was said in this episode is that it really sells them as a couple. Which is a thing that I can't fathom being true. The way that they talk about, or rather don't talk about their relationship is so bizarre. There's one person who's actively pursuing it, and there's one person who doesn't seem to give a damn, and won't talk about it for no apparent reason, but who simultaneously is he says, I took this case for you, and blah, blah. Okay, so are you interested in her or not? If you're interested, just be together. What are you doing? Be adults.
I buy them as a couple because they have chemistry and they work. The problem is that they have to do these stupid romance television tropes, but those sort of things can be a bit problematic.
Well, it's not even just problematic.
Well, I'm going to say, there's that scene in the last episode where she just beats the shit out of him, and then they have sex.
Right, which is weird.
That's weird, that she, fights him into having sex.
What I don't understand is, one, the appeal.
And this whole episode, she's just trying to make him jealous.
Yeah.
And then when he does get jealous, or he doesn't get jealous, that, makes her pissed off.
Which is weird. I think part of it is like, I don't know, if people were behaving that way in real life, I'd be like, what are you even doing? Like, it's not, this isn't romantic. This is like this is a ineffective communication. It's a bad use of everyone's time. Like, I don't get it.
I don't super get it either. I'm not super into Fee, to be honest. I don't.
Okay.
She, some of her characteristics bug me. I don't know. She's fine. I don't know. She's not my favorite character, though. I started watching the show originally for Bruce Campbell. I'm now watching it for Bri and Chris and Bruce Campbell.
Right. I think we have officially talked about the TV show Burn Notice for too long.
I mean, this is still about Burn Noticed because you are describing how you feel about the show through the lens of that podcast.
Yes.
And what you've gathered from it.
Yes. I can't stand conflict that comes out of, like, miscommunication because it makes me so angry.
And I mean, this would be a bad show, but, like, honestly, I feel like she should just back off. He's made it clear that he's not.
Right. But he hasn't, though. He bought her the snow globe. He told her he specifically only took the case for her. He's just as bad. I mean, they had sex. Like, he's doing just enough to be like, no, I'm definitely interested in you. Just don't talk to me about it or look at me. Like, it's... I don't know. He
took the case for her, and he bought her a snow globe, which could just be friend things.
It's not, though. Okay.
Let's talk about the podcast, right?
Yeah. I think by far the funniest thing that happened on the podcast was Chris reading the IMDb page of that one actor.
Really? Because I didn't find that funny at all.
He had his divorce listed on his resume. Who does that?
I mean, it's not a resume. It's just like, actually, most people whose IMDb page has like trivia or bio lists who they've been married to and who they're not married to.
Really?
Really. That's just, it's like a Wikipedia page.
Cause the way he said it was like, the guy wrote this himself, which makes me feel like it's your acting resume. You're like, he's been in this, here are my credentials, here are the projects I've been involved in, and also I like long walks on the beach. Like,
see, for me, when I was listening to that, I was like, is this what it sounds like when I relate trivia? And people just stare at me like, I don't care.
Really?
So I didn't care for that bit.
You're just like, this is weird trivia.
It could be that I'm on IMDb constantly, and that did not.
And that didn't strike you as weird at all.
No, I mean that's how everybody's IMDb page is.
Well, then now I'm just like floored by how IMDb works.
I mean, you have to go to a separate page for it. Like, you're on their page and you click, like, trivia about them or whatever.
But he wasn't reading trivia about them. He was reading the bio.
I mean, yeah, that's all on the same page. The bio and the trivia is on the same page.
But I'm saying, like, it's not like somebody else uploaded, like...
I mean, it could be.
Trivia about him. It sounded like it was in the bio he wrote. Look, you're gonna have to pull it up.
What's his name?
All I have written down is Snuffin. Or Sniffin? Sniffin. 1-800, are you sniffin'? So yeah, this is all in his...
Full bio.
Yeah.
It says by Jeff Chase, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was him.
Okay, but I'm saying this isn't like trivia that somebody else uploaded about him. This is a bio that like either he or his people, if he has people or whatever, put out. So it is. This is essentially him like writing his resume.
It says IMDb mini biography by Jeff Chase. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean...
It looks like, I think it was him though. Here's what it looks like, somebody's MySpace page to me. Like, favorite quote.
I mean, like I said, a lot of IMDb's are like this. A lot.
I think it's funny that you just thought that was boring.
Well, again, I'm on IMDb
and that's just what it's like?
So, yeah.
Everybody's IMDb bio is like...
Here, like, Kristen Stewart, it says...
Yeah, the bio doesn't have a favorite quote or her, like, relationship status. That's all in the trivia stuff.
Well, I mean, he was probably just, like, looked at somebody else's and just, like, this is all the information that needs to be on there. Yeah, just put that all on there. I don't find it that odd.
Weird. My impulse is to continue fighting about this until you agree with me, but I just don't think we have the time.
I'm not, like, angry about it. I just, like,
I literally have it listed as, like, one of my favorite moments in the podcast.
My least favorite moment in the podcast.
Bizarre. Maybe we should move on.
They talk about chins. They're doing chin talk, and they're talking about, I think they're talking about Wayne Ray's chin. They said it's like 15 mega chads of chin. But, like, they don't mention Bruce Campbell's chin at all, which is, like, his defining characteristic. And I found that peculiar.
Okay.
I mean, Bruce Campbell's biography is called If Chins Could Kill. The dude's got a chin.
I have an answer to a question that they posed, which is, what is the type of yogurt that Burn Notice eats? It's a fictional brand called Brennan's Brand Blueberry Yogurt.
Non-fat, by the way.
Yes, which I know because Cora exists. Also, a thing that I know, because the internet exists, is that those props, those little yogurt containers, went for $625 in the Burn Notice prop auction.
Wow. That's some expensive yogurt.
That's a lot of yogurt.
I've never paid that much for yogurt. The most I've paid is like, I don't know, like $10 for like a big pack.
I will say, like, I've been thinking about yogurt a lot.
We should eat more yogurt.
Should we be eating more yogurt?
Yeah.
All right.
So they sold Yogurt the Talking Dog on a prop auction?
Well, I mean, yeah, once the show was over, they had to get rid of the dog.
$625 for a dog is actually probably fine.
I mean, for a talking dog, it's real cheap.
It's real cheap, real cheap.
Lots of people would pay top dollar for a talking dog.
At one point, Chris describes Burn Notice's face, the face that he's making, and he uses blowfish as an example. And it took me 500 years to try to parse out what that meant in my head.
Oh, no, it means like this.
Yeah, I got there eventually, but I don't know why, but it was like, what? What? And I had to, like, listen to it twice.
I did have to physically do it.
Same.
As I was listening to the podcast, I went, wait, like, oh, yeah, like that. Oh, you know what? A thing that I want to talk about is that I'm mentioned by name in this episode. And it's funny because I was thinking about it. Because they were talking about how there's, like, a lot of downtime in this episode. Scenes where people are just, like, drinking Slurpees?
Slurpees. Are you going to say Slurpees?
And slushies at the same time. Drinking Slurpees. I picked one. Or just, like, wanting to go to the beach. Like, just hanging out and eating food. Which they were, like, describing this scene. And I was like, oh, man, I love scenes like that. They're the best. And, like, as I was thinking that, Chris was like, Toni would actually really like this episode. And he's right. And I will say this. It was, like, the first time that I was kind of like, I wouldn't mind giving this episode a watch. Just because it seems like there are a lot of cute downtime moments. It's my favorite thing in a TV show where people just get to, like, hang out and eat. Not that, like, that's what the whole show is, but, like, actually there are, like, there are explosions and aliens and supernatural stuff or whatever.
And Burn Notice?
No, I just mean in TV shows.
I was going to say spoilers for season 6.
No. In the midst of all that, like, everybody goes and just gets nachos. Like, because those scenes are always so great. And so, yeah, this was probably, like, the first episode of the podcast where I was like, if it does that a lot, then I might be interested in checking it out. And, like, specifically, I think that's why, like, I like the yogurt thing so much. Because, like, it's a small sort of joke thing that is also, like, it's a slow moment. It lets you know that, like, they're slowing down to make jokes about yogurt. That's a good choice.
There was also a bit in the podcast where Chris said that they didn't mention Florence Henderson at all. And Bri said,
Who is that?
Who is that? And he had to explain. And she's like, I don't know what to do with that. Which is like the most us dynamic.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, this is the most relatable conversation I've ever heard on a podcast ever. There's just this pause and like, I don't know what to do with that. Of just like...
I mean, we had it earlier in this very podcast when I was like, the bad guy is played by the guy from The Replacements. And you're like, okay.
Well, that's the thing. What do you do with that? When you give someone trivia, there's nothing but like, oh, neat.
I mean, that's what I felt like when Chris read off the IMDb page of actor Jeff Chase. We all learned a little bit today. We all walked a mile in each other's shoes.
Neat. You want to talk about How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah, I miss it too. I never finished it because I got spoiled on the ending and I was like, what?
How I Met Your Mother
Bullshit.
is, like, the way everybody feels about it is also how I feel about Friends, except that I never, like, I mean, it's always on TV, and, like, we watched an episode of it, because your dad was in the hospital, and that's
Friends, specifically.
Yeah,
right?
And that's what was on, and it was like, oh, this isn't great.
I feel like How I Met Your Mother is probably better than Friends, though, right?
Probably. I don't know.
How I Met Your Mother had some interesting structure and writing and stuff. Because there was a lot of like playing with unreliable narrators and time jumps and stuff like that. Whereas Friends is just, this is a sitcom.
That's part of it, right? Like when How I Met Your Mother started, it was like doing something interesting with the format. Like it was different.
And then they fucked up the ending. I didn't even see it, but I heard about it and was so angry. But I just didn't finish watching the show. I had like a season left. And part of me is like, I want to go back and finish it because I like the show. And I know only the finale is probably going to upset me. And I know that Britannic's in it. Brian McElhaney and Nick Kocher. and I love them. But I don't know if I'm ever going to finish it because the finale, just the idea of it made me so angry.
It's infuriating.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it here in case someone's like watching it.
In case someone's watching through all of How I Met Your Mother and is avoiding spoilers. If you've somehow managed to avoid that spoiler, that's amazing.
You know, why aren't we doing a podcast about How I Met Your Mother? We could call it How I Watched How I Met Your Mother.
There's only so much free time. Please.
It'd be better. We got to do that. We got to do our psych podcast, our elementary podcast.
We don't have to, actually. Again, I don't know how many times I've said this to you just this week. We can watch things without making something for the consumption of other people. We can just watch it ourselves and share the experience and keep it just between the two of us and not have to do... I
don't understand this at all, but okay.
A bunch of work.
Yeah, I'm very tired.
You're doing it to yourself.
I know.
This is you.
But wouldn't it be interesting to do a podcast about How I Met Your Mother, starting from the beginning, and knowing where it's going?
No.
Knowing what the final twist is.
It would not be interesting.
You can be like, look, here's where it's like very going away from what the eventual finale is going to be and how fucked up that is.
Hey, listen.
Oh.
No. There is nothing about that concept.
Episode 1.
That is in any way interesting.
That was the one with the blue horn. We're doing it right now. So there's the blue horn,
No,
right?
Do not hijack this podcast.
You think Robin's going to be the mother the whole time. But it's not. Or is it? All right. Sorry. What else we got? Chris mentioned being a minimalist. I can confirm.
Yeah, he doesn't like owning things.
He doesn't even really have he has a mattress. That's it. He doesn't even have a bed frame, just a mattress, which I'm pretty sure is bad. You need to elevate that. You got to get some airflow underneath the mattress, Chris.
For what?
I don't know. I read it on Tumblr. I think, it gets bad.
It just gets bad. If you put your mattress straight on the floor, then there's no place for the monsters to hide. And that's just science.
Yeah, but I think you get, I don't know, mold or something.
Oh, definitely. There's a thing in the episode of Burn Notice that Michael just doesn't own a washer and a dryer.
Yeah.
He definitely has his mom do all of his laundry. That's the only reason why he puts up with her so much, is because he doesn't know how to do laundry, and his mom still does all of it.
I wouldn't do laundry in her house. All my clothes would come back smelling like smoke. She's a smoker.
Okay.
Just my own personal opinion.
I have something that I want to complain about.
What's that?
It has nothing to do with the podcast or the episode of Burn Notice.
All right.
But in taking notes for the podcast, I had to write the word brooch so many times. I don't think I spelled it right once.
It's BROOCH.
It has
which doesn't make any
no
sense.
Business being spelled like that.
I think it's
that is brooch.
I think it's to differentiate between BROACH, which is like you broach a subject.
Well, they're both pronounced the same, and one's just spelled dumb. Brooch, and I also wrote down oeuvre. And I wrote it down in my notes. My newts.
Your newts?
I wrote
Oeuvre newts.
I wrote it down in my notes as OOVRA. Looked at it and went, there's no possible way. I'm a fool. I am a dunce. And I have no clue how to spell the word oeuvre. But I looked it up.
Cool.
It's OEUVRE.
Sure.
Neat, right?
Anyway, Jeff Shate's IMDb page. A dry recounting of facts. That's what I love. Just dry as dirt recounting of facts. I want to feel like I just had my brain scraped with sandpaper. That's what I'm into.
I learned something today, and I wanted to share that knowledge with other people who maybe also heard the word oeuvre and was like, I don't know how to spell that. No idea. It's not a word you hear all the time.
Fascinating.
I should look it up and see how to spell that.
After this, I'm just going to watch YouTube videos of spelling bees. I'm so into this.
All right. Never mind. Damn.
Can you use it in a sentence?
You're being awfully high and fucking mighty for a man who's basically a walking IMDb. For a man who 90% of my conversations with you involve some form of, that guy who was in that, he was also in this.
You've seen the
You've seen that.
Right?
You haven't seen that? It's about this. You know who else is in that?
It's got Keanu Reeves, Jon Favreau, Orlando Jones, others.
awfully high and mighty for a man who's 90% of your conversation is just sandpaper.
Gaylord Sartain, who was most popularly seen in the Ernest films.
Neat.
All right. Anyway, where were we?
We're at the end, I think.
Okay, cool.
I don't have any more notes. What
let
have you?
Let me check and see if I have any more notes. Chris said there was this whole bit about they said the thing about the tripping on the stairs, and they said remember it, and then they came back and was like, and then he trips over this thing. Remember? If you remember when we said remember, then you remember. Well, I remember.
It was a good bit. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know that I, Joe Heath, remembered.
Okay. Neat. Should we rate the episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm going to give this episode 7 yogurts.
What? That's not how we do it.
Were you not? You were there for the last episode?
I can't keep track of our ranking system.
No, okay. Let's do...
I give it 1 Brennan's yogurt sold on eBay for $625. It wasn't eBay, but whatever.
Well,
prop auction.
It sold at a prop auction. There was actually a thing, like the person who bought it at the prop auction did later sell it on eBay, but it didn't sell. They listed it for $385 or something like that, and the item just didn't sell.
Did it have yogurt in it?
No, I think it's just an empty yogurt container.
Had it been licked upon by Mr. Burn Notice himself?
It was signed.
Oh, nice. By who?
By Jeffrey Donovan.
Okay.
By Mr. Burn Notice himself.
Are we not using our old ranking system?
No, we will. I just wanted to make a joke. I'm going to continue to just give out a random amount of yogurt.
I give it one $625 or less.
I gave it
Brennan yogurt cup
7. So
with no yogurt.
I don't know how much money that's worth because I don't feel like doing the math.
It's like $7 probably.
I guess I didn't specify the brand that it was Brennan, and they're all blueberry, by the way.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't eat anything but blueberry yogurt.
Why would you need to?
Because blueberries are gross.
Peach is better.
Strawberry's the best. Is this a great episode of a podcast?
Did it change how you think about something?
I have to say, this was like the first episode where I was like, this episode sounds fun. I mean, the first episode of the podcast, Burn, Notice, that made me think the episode of Burn Notice was worth watching. So, a little bit.
It also made me change how I think about maybe me recounting trivia is boring.
So it's a fucking miracle.
Did it make you cry?
No.
It didn't make me cry either. Did it make you laugh?
I chuckled once or twice, for sure.
You know, I didn't really laugh much during this.
Oh my goodness. But you already established that you don't laugh when you listen to the podcast at work.
I didn't even, honestly, I'm going to be honest here, I don't even think there was a lot of funny bits. I didn't
You didn't like the IMDb thing.
Yeah. I'm not saying I didn't dislike the episode. I think part of it was that a lot of the episode, they were just enjoying talking about the show and not making a lot of jokes.
They weren't goofing on it.
Yeah, they were just like, oh, this is actually good. Like, a lot of the, like, something they say a lot is, it's very funny. It's very good. They say it, like, multiple times.
Yeah, which is a hard thing because you're not, especially in, like, a podcast like this where you're just talking about a TV show you watch. I struggle with it all the time in Watch-A-Thon where I'm, like, trying to describe something that I enjoyed and I just end up saying, like, it's good. I'm not conveying what was good about it. Not that they...
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not that it's not entertaining. I think the podcast was entertaining.
Yes.
But I don't think it was necessarily, like, really, really funny or anything. But it was, like, their joy for the episode was infectious.
Yeah, which isn't in our criterion anyway, which is why I'm just going to have to deal with that fact by giving it an additional amount of yogurts.
So not a great episode of a podcast.
Not a great
good episode of a podcast.
Yeah, it definitely met one of the criterias, and it definitely was, like, enjoyable to listen, entertaining to listen to just because it was, like, infectious to hear, like, their enjoyment of it. So yeah, I would definitely say a good episode of a podcast.
I'm wondering if we should swap Does It Flow and Makes Me Laugh. Swap them.
From a great Does It Flow to a great
podcast.
episode of a podcast to Makes Me Laugh to a great episode of Burn Notice.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're not wrong, which is why, listen.
God damn it.
You're not wrong. Sooner or later, we're going to get these criteria hammered out. Until then, I'm just going to use this as like a discussion thing and keep just awarding it yogurts.
All right. I think we swapped those two. So under those, does it flow?
Does it
I
flow?
would say yes.
Yeah.
I think this one was nicely.
Well, that makes it that makes it 2 out of 3.
Which makes it a great episode of a podcast.
We just adjusted the rubric so that we could call this a great episode of a podcast.
No, we didn't.
We sure did.
Okay.
Was this a great episode of Burn, Notice?
The Chris and Bri dynamic. Yes. Though I was worried to begin with.
Why?
Because there's a bit when they were doing the spy notes, and like Chris is like, I don't think it's a spy note. And she's like, fine, whatever. I was like, oh no, Bri has given up.
She's rolling over too easy.
But then she came back strong a little bit later on when she was like, no, this. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't even remember what it was about, but she was like very adamant again. And I was like, the dynamic has returned.
So yes, their dynamic is definitely present. I feel like I know what happened in the episode of Burn Notice. Yes, I do.
Ish.
Did I laugh? No, not really. But that's still 2 out of 3. It is a great episode of Burn, Notice. Great episode of a podcast. Great episode of Burn, Noticed.
And this episode you're listening to right now sucks.
Yeah, that's for sure fair. This episode of Burn, Noticed, negative yogurts.
Generic brand yogurt, just empty. Even the little, like, tinfoil lid has been, like, cleaned.
Oh, even the lid?
Even the lid.
Also, it's got chunks of stuff in it. Man, that's the worst. Like a yogurt where it's just, like, peach chunks in it. I don't want that. It's an inconsistent texture.
Plus,
what?
It's not non-fat. It's non-fat.
It's extra fat.
Extra fat. And even if you don't eat it, you get that fat. Anyway.
Then that's the type of yogurt this podcast is.
So, about, I don't know, a decade or so from now, or I don't know how far into the future, I'm going to play this podcast for our children. I'd be like, see, kids, this is how I recorded a podcast with your mother. And also, I'm going to be Joey from Full House. Dave Coulier.
Why?
Because Bob Saget's doing... He already did How I Met Your Mother, and so all I get's Joey from Full House. Also, his name's Joey.
Right.
Relevant.
And that's how casting works.
Yeah. Also, you've seen Full House, and you've seen Joey. We have kind of a similar vibe.
Sure?
Woohoo! See? I've always connected with Joeys on TV shows because they have my name.
We're at the end of the podcast, and I don't know what we're doing here.
My favorite of the Lawrence brothers, by the way, is Joey.
Right. What are you doing?
Do you know who the Lawrence brothers are?
No.
Joey, Andy, and Matthew?
Oh. Neat.
They were on the show Brotherly Love?
Yeah.
Matthew Lawrence was on Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
He's my least favorite.
Why would you say that?
Out of the 3, he's the straight man a lot, which is important but not as funny. Oh god, I didn't learn anything from this episode.
You didn't learn a damn thing! It's the end. We did it. That's everything. We did all the segments. Why are you still looking at me?
Because I still want to tell you that Joey Lawrence was on Blossom.
Okay. Anything else?
There was a really good movie with Matthew Lawrence called H-E Double Hockey Sticks.
Uh-huh.
It was him and Will Friedle, and he sells his soul to a demon to play hockey. It's a Disney Channel original movie. And I feel like not enough people know about it.
I remember that one, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Right? The end.
This has been Burn Notice, your favorite podcast about your other favorite podcast.
And Burn Noticed, you've been noticed. Burn! Burn! That's my Joey Lawrence impression on Blossom.
Do you know what's ironic about this episode?
What?
Is like the thing that people complain about How I Met Your Mother is that like Barney had all this growth, but then they like undo it at the end just to have him. That was you. You grew a lot. You grew a lot in this episode of this podcast, but by the end, it's like we just reset you. You actually learned nothing.
Oh my god, isn't that what sitcoms normally do? Like they reset at the end of an episode?
Yeah.
But like How I Met Your Mother did it for a whole show. Maybe it's just a meta-commentary on sitcoms.
Oh my god, How I Met Your Mother is actually a brilliant meta-commentary.
I've redeemed How I Met Your Mother. Kids, this is how I redeemed How I Met Your Mother.
Do we need to sign off again? Why are we still going?
This has been Burn Notice on How I Met